Picture this: a black hole swirling in the depths of space, its gravitational pull so immense that not even light can escape. Now imagine scientists whispering behind closed doors about secrets so profound they could rewrite everything we know about the cosmos. What if I told you there are 30 cosmic truths, undeniable, earth-shattering revelations being kept hidden from the public, not as conspiracy, but as whispers in the shadows of laboratories and observatories, facts too unsettling or revolutionary to share until now? The universe has always been a place of wonder and mystery, but what if the greatest mysteries aren't out there among the stars, but locked away in files marked classified? Think about it: every groundbreaking discovery in history was once deemed impossible, even threatening. Galileo was silenced for saying Earth revolved around the sun. Today, the stakes are even higher. We're talking about cosmic realities that challenge the very fabric of physics, truths about alien megastructures, hidden dimensions, or even evidence of civilizations long gone. Why keep them secret? Some say it's to prevent panic. Others believe it's about power. Controlling knowledge means controlling how we see our place in the universe. This isn't just about curiosity, it's about the right to know. What if the light from a distant star isn't just a flicker in the void, but a signal? What if dark matter isn't an invisible force, but something far more astonishing? Over the next few minutes, we're peeling back the curtain on 30 cosmic truths that'll make you question everything. Some will thrill you, others might unsettle you. But one thing's certain: you won't look at the night sky the same way again. Strap in. The truth is stranger and more spectacular than fiction. We've been told the universe is roughly 13.8 billion years old, a number etched into textbooks and repeated with unwavering certainty. But what if that timeline is off by billions of years? Hidden in the static of cosmic microwave background radiation, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang, are anomalies that don't fit the official story. Some regions appear older, cooler, as if they've been around far longer than they should be. Then there's redshift data, the fingerprints of an expanding universe. Certain galaxies show light stretched in ways that defy expectations, suggesting they existed long before the cosmic dawn we've been taught to accept. Take the Methuselah star, for example. Nestled in our own galaxy, its composition hints at an age older than the universe itself, a paradox that sends shockwaves through cosmology. If just one star throws the timeline into question, what does that say about the rest of the cosmos? Quietly, a handful of astrophysicists have proposed radical alternatives: a cyclic universe, one that collapses and rebirths in endless loops, or a multiverse where time operates on scales we can barely fathom. Mainstream science dismisses these as outliers, but the data keeps whispering otherwise. The implications are staggering. If the universe is older, it means our understanding of dark energy, black holes, even the laws of physics, might be built on shaky foundations. Imagine a cosmic clock ticking silently in the void, its hands stretching further back than we ever dared to measure. Why would this truth be suppressed? Perhaps because rewriting the age of everything would unravel decades of research, funding, and prestige. Or maybe because some truths are simply too vast to fit inside the frameworks we've built. One thing's clear: the universe's birth certificate may need a serious update. Dark matter, the invisible glue holding galaxies together, or so we've been told. For decades, this mysterious substance has been the go-to explanation for why galaxies spin faster than they should, why stars on the outer edges don't just fly off into the void. But what if dark matter isn't real? What if it's just a cosmic placeholder, a mathematical band-aid slapped over our failure to understand gravity itself? The numbers don't lie. When astronomers calculate the mass of galaxies based on visible matter, stars, gas, dust, the math falls catastrophically short. There's simply not enough stuff to explain the way galaxies rotate. Instead of admitting we might be missing something fundamental, mainstream science invented dark matter, an invisible, undetectable substance making up 85% of the universe's mass. Convenient, isn't it? A cosmic ghost we can't see, touch, or measure directly, yet we're told it's everywhere. But here's where things get interesting. A small group of renegade physicists have been whispering about an alternative, modified gravity. Theories like modified Newtonian dynamics suggest that gravity doesn't behave the way we think it does on galactic scales. Instead of needing dark matter to explain galaxy rotation, maybe our equations are just incomplete. Imagine if gravity strengthened slightly in the emptiness between stars, just enough to keep galaxies from flying apart. No invisible matter required. The evidence: some galaxies defy dark matter expectations entirely. Take NGC 1052, for example, a bizarre galaxy where stars move as if dark matter doesn't exist. Then there's the Bullet Cluster, often hailed as definitive proof of dark matter, yet even its data can be reinterpreted through modified gravity. The establishment dismisses these outliers, but the cracks in the dark matter narrative are growing. So why cling to the idea of an unseen universe? Follow the money. Billions pour into dark matter experiments, underground labs, particle colliders, deep space telescopes, all chasing shadows. Careers, reputations, entire fields of study are built on this single assumption. To admit we've been wrong would be to unravel modern cosmology, but science isn't about consensus, it's about evidence. And the evidence is whispering that maybe, just maybe, we've been solving the wrong puzzle all along. The moon has always been Earth's silent companion, hanging in the sky like a perfect celestial ornament. But what if it's not natural at all? The Apollo missions brought back rocks that should have settled the debate, yet the more we studied them, the stranger they became. Lunar samples contain metals like titanium in concentrations 10 times higher than Earth's crust, as if the moon's surface was engineered to withstand unimaginable forces. Then there's the density. Despite its size, the moon weighs far less than it should, with some calculations suggesting it might be hollow. In 1970, NASA deliberately crashed a spacecraft into the moon. The impact should have been minor, but the resulting seismic waves lasted for over an hour, ringing like a bell. Scientists expected a dull thud. Instead, they got a resonance that defied all geological logic. Even stranger, Soviet probes picked up similar anomalies decades earlier, but those findings were buried in classified files until recently. The moon's orbit is another puzzle. It doesn't spin like a natural satellite should. It's locked in perfect sync with Earth, always showing the same face, as if positioned deliberately. No other moon in the solar system behaves this way. Even the odds of such an orbit forming naturally are astronomically low. Some researchers whisper about ancient texts describing a time before the moon existed, legends from cultures worldwide that speak of a second sun that vanished, replaced by this eerie silver disk. Could the moon be a relic of an advanced civilization, a megastructure placed in orbit for reasons we can't fathom? Mainstream science dismisses these questions as fringe, but the anomalies pile up. Strange reflections from its surface, geometric structures glimpsed in high-resolution scans, even unexplained radio signals detected during lunar eclipses. The truth might not just rewrite history, it could shatter our understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. And here's the chilling part: if the moon is artificial, who or what put it there? Mars has always fascinated us, a red neighbor hanging in our night sky, seemingly barren and lifeless, but look closer and the planet tells a different story. In 1976, NASA Viking 1 orbiter captured something astonishing in the Cydonia region, a mile-wide formation eerily resembling a human face staring up from the Martian surface. The image sparked immediate debate. Was it just a trick of light and shadow or something more? Then came the pyramids, Nearby, geometric structures rose from the dust, their angles too precise, their alignment too deliberate to be natural wind-carved rocks. Fast forward to the 2000s, when high-resolution images from newer missions like Mars Global Surveyor were released. The face on Mars had changed. Suddenly, it looked far less defined, almost as if someone had smoothed it out digitally. NASA called it better camera resolution, but independent analysts weren't convinced. Pixel by pixel, anomalies emerged, unnatural blurring, inconsistent shadows, and areas where details seemed deliberately erased. Then there were the vanishing acts. Certain structures visible in early images simply disappeared in later photos, replaced by what looked like crude airbrushing. The implications are staggering. If Mars once hosted a civilization, even a microbial one, why hide it? Consider the bigger picture. In 2015, liquid water was confirmed on Mars, a discovery that should have dominated headlines for weeks. Yet the announcement felt strangely muted, buried under bureaucratic language. Then there's the methane. On Earth, methane is largely produced by biological activity. On Mars, it appears in mysterious seasonal plumes, yet NASA downplays the connection to life, chalking it up to geological processes. Let's talk about the pyramids. Not just in Cydonia, but scattered across Mars, structures with uncanny symmetry, aligned with celestial precision. In the region called Elysium Planitia, formations mirror the layout of Egypt's Giza Plateau, complete with a sphinx-like structure nearby. Coincidence, solar alignments on Mars match terrestrial ancient sites with eerie accuracy, as if both worlds were following the same architectural blueprint. Why the secrecy? Some say it's about avoiding panic. Admitting we're not alone would rewrite human history overnight. Others suspect it's the opposite, that certain powers already know far more than they're sharing, and the truth could upend religions, economies, even governments. Here's the chilling thought. If Mars once thrived with life, what happened to it? And more importantly, could Earth be next? The red planet's silent ruins may hold warnings we're not supposed to hear. The Sun, our blazing cosmic anchor, the relentless engine fueling life on Earth. But what if its perfect stability isn't luck but design? Consider this. Earth orbits in the so-called Goldilocks zone, where temperatures are just right for liquid water, not too hot, not too cold. A happy accident, maybe, except the Sun itself behaves unlike any other star we've observed. Its fluctuations in brightness are unnaturally mild. Most stars of its size erupt in violent solar flares, capable of stripping planets of their atmospheres. Yet ours hums along with eerie consistency, as if dialed to a precise setting. Then there's the timing. The Sun's life cycle aligns suspiciously well with humanity's rise. Stars like it typically grow hotter as they age, yet ours has maintained near-perfect equilibrium for billions of years, exactly the window needed for complex life to evolve. Coincidence? Astrophysicists quietly acknowledge another oddity, the Sun's composition. It contains heavier elements like iron and gold in ratios that defy typical stellar formation. These metals shouldn't be so abundant unless they were added. The real kicker, our solar system's architecture. The planet's orbits are suspiciously circular and orderly compared to the chaotic dances seen in most exoplanet systems. Jupiter, the gas giant, acts as a cosmic shield, deflecting asteroids that might otherwise pummel Earth. Even the Moon's presence stabilizes our tilt, preventing wild climate swings. Too many perfect variables stack up to dismiss as chance. Some researchers propose a radical idea that an advanced intelligence, perhaps a long-vanished civilization, engineered this system as a cradle. Imagine uncovering ancient artifacts not on Earth, but buried in the Sun's corona, hidden by plasma. Wild, maybe, but remember, we once believed Earth was the center of the universe. The truth might not just be stranger than fiction, it might be written in solar flares we've yet to decode. We've mapped every corner of our solar system, or so we're told. But beyond the icy reaches of Neptune, something massive stirs in the dark. The math doesn't lie. The orbits of distant objects like Sedna and other trans-Neptunian bodies curve in ways that shouldn't be possible unless an unseen force is tugging at them. The numbers scream it. Something out there, something huge, is warping the fabric of our cosmic neighborhood. They call it Planet 9 or Planet X, a phantom world lurking in the shadows 10 times the mass of Earth. And the evidence isn't just theoretical, it's etched into the very paths of celestial bodies. Take the case of the dwarf planet Goblin. Discovered in 2015, its elongated orbit stretches so far into space that only one explanation fits: the gravitational pull of an undiscovered giant. Then there's the clustering effect. Dozens of distant objects orbit at angles that converge like spokes on a wheel, all pointing to the same patch of sky. The odds of this happening naturally, less than 0.0007%. Statistically, it's a smoking gun, so why hasn't Planet X been spotted yet? Officially, astronomers say it's because the hypothetical world is too distant, too dim. But here's where things get suspicious. In the 1980s, NASA-era's infrared telescope detected a mysterious, large, unknown object in the outer solar system. The announcement made headlines briefly before being memory-holed. Decades later, whistleblowers from observatories in Chile and Antarctica leaked reports of anomalous readings, always followed by sudden data blackouts. One astronomer claimed to have pinpointed Planet X's location in 2016, only for his telescope to be abruptly decommissioned. The suppression isn't just bureaucratic. Ancient texts tell of a destroyer planet that swings through our system on a long, elliptical orbit. The Sumerians called it Nibiru, a world associated with cataclysms. Modern simulations show such a planet could explain not just orbital anomalies, but Earth's own geological upheavals, mass extinctions, sudden climate shifts. If a super-Earth really is cycling through the solar system every few thousand years, its next return could rewrite history or end it. Authorities dismiss this as conspiracy, but the paper trail is damning. Classified documents from the Keck Observatory describe unexpected perturbations in deep space tracking. NASA's own budget requests quietly shifted funds to planetary defense initiatives, citing non-terrestrial orbital threats. Even mainstream science concedes our solar system's balance makes no sense unless something massive is missing from the equation, the truth they've known all along. They're just waiting for the right moment or the right disaster to tell us. Deep in the void between galaxies, an invisible wall hums with energy, a force so immense it could rewrite the future of space exploration. Meet the Great Galactic Barrier, an enigmatic boundary at the edge of our Milky Way where something or someone seems to be drawing a cosmic line in the sand. In 2019, NASA Voyager probes detected the first clues as they neared interstellar space. Their instruments spiked with bizarre readings, particles slamming into an unseen force field, as if the galaxy itself were encased in a colossal energy net. The data defied every expectation. Galactic models predicted a gradual thinning of particles as the probes left the solar system. Instead, Voyager 2 recorded a sudden 200-fold increase in cosmic ray intensity, like a ship hitting an invisible reef. Then came the magnetic anomalies, fluctuations so extreme they suggested an artificial structure or a natural one harnessed for a purpose we can't yet grasp. Here's where it gets stranger. Declassified Pentagon documents reveal Project Stargate, a Cold War-era initiative, studied these very anomalies. Remote viewers, psychic spies working for you. Intelligence described visions of a celestial fence manned by non-human entities. Their reports, buried for decades, eerily match modern astrophysical data. Even more unsettling, military satellites have detected pulsed energy emissions from the barrier, rhythmic bursts that mirror patterns used in human communication. Science fiction whispers of quarantine zones, theories that advanced civilizations cordon off primitive ones until they're ready, but the truth may be far more practical. The barrier could explain why we've never found extraterrestrial visitors, not because they don't exist, but because they're locked out or we're locked in. Now follow the money. Black-budget projects like the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency's 100-year Starship Initiative aren't just dreaming of interstellar travel. They're pouring billions into barrier penetration technologies. Meanwhile, elite astronomers quietly admit the Milky Way's outer rim behaves like a controlled system, its energy fields aligning a little too perfectly with theoretical warp drive physics. So who built it? Ancient aliens, a long-dead precursor race, or something infinitely older, weaving galaxies like threads in a tapestry we're only beginning to see? One thing's certain, the stars might be closer than we think, but the real frontier isn't distance, it's whatever's standing in our way. Time itself may not be as constant as we believe, and buried in classified labs, experiments suggest powerful forces have already cracked its secrets. Imagine a chamber deep beneath the Swiss Alps where scientists at CERN collide particles at nearly the speed of light. Officially, they're probing the origins of the universe. But leaked documents reveal a far more unsettling agenda, bending time itself. In 2012, a CERN technician named Dr. Redacted vanished after publishing an anonymous paper titled Temporal Displacement in Hadron Collisions. The work described nanoseconds-long time loops observed during particle collisions, microscopic moments where cause and effect seemed to reverse. The paper was scrubbed from archives within hours, but not before copies spread through underground physics forums. One passage chillingly noted, the particles remembered futures that hadn't happened yet. Then came the whistleblowers, a former contractor for the U.S. Department of Defense described Project Looking Glass, a Cold War-era initiative that used ring-shaped particle accelerators to generate temporal feedback loops. Declassified memos mention objects, keys, coins, even a live mouse disappearing from sealed containers, only to reappear hours later with molecular structures subtly altered. One test log from 1983 reads, "Subject exhibited awareness of events 36 minutes before occurrence, the most damning evidence." The Hutchison effect. In the 1990s, inventor John Hutchison claimed his electromagnetic experiments accidentally slowed local time by 0.003%, verified by atomic clocks placed in the field. When military researchers replicated his work in 2008, their report concluded with a single redacted paragraph titled Macroscale Applications. Why bury this? Because controlling time means controlling reality. Stock markets could be manipulated with foreknowledge, wars could be undone, entire histories rewritten. Perhaps that's why CERN director once quipped, "We're not just studying the universe, we're in conversation with it. The question is, who's answering?" In the vast darkness between stars, one flickering pinpoint of light has astronomers whispering about the unthinkable Tabby star, officially known as KIC 8462852. Its behavior defies all natural explanations. Most stars dim in predictable, gentle rhythms as planets pass in front of them. But Tabby's star, its light drops by up to 22% at random intervals, as if something colossal, something jagged and irregular, is blocking its glow. The numbers tell a story math can't smooth over. Enter the Dyson sphere hypothesis, proposed by physicist Freeman Dyson in the 1960s. It suggests advanced civilizations might build massive energy-collecting structures around their stars, megastructures designed to harness every photon of sunlight. Tabby star's erratic dimming fits this theory eerily well. The dips aren't smooth like a planet's transit, they're chaotic, asymmetrical, as if we're glimpsing the scaffolding of a construction project the size of a solar system. But here's where the silence grows deafening. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, trained its radio telescopes on Tabby's star in 2016. After just 2 weeks of listening, they abruptly halted the project, citing no detectable signals, no follow-up, no deeper investigation, just a quiet retreat. Yet independent researchers reviewing the raw data noted something peculiar: narrow-band radio pulses, too structured to be cosmic noise, clustered in patterns resembling, of all things, terrestrial radar signals. The SETI team dismissed these as interference, but the timing was suspicious. The taboo runs deeper. When astronomers Jason Wright and Tabitha Boyajian first published their findings, their peers reacted with visible discomfort. Wright described conference rooms falling silent when he mentioned the word artificial. Funding for further study dried up overnight. The message was clear: some lines of inquiry are too dangerous for careers. Consider the precedent. In 2015, the Russian Academy of Sciences detected a star 50 times larger than our Sun, emitting laser-like pulses, light amplified by stimulated emission of radiation, the exact signature of a directed energy weapon or communication beam. The paper was buried in an obscure journal. When citizen scientists tried crowdfunding a study, their equipment mysteriously failed. The truth might be staring us in the face. Across our galaxy, at least 20 other stars exhibit similar unnatural dimming. One in the constellation Hercules dims in geometric increments, 8%, then 16, then 24, like clockwork. Coincidence doesn't scale like that. Either we're witnessing the greatest statistical fluke in cosmic history, or something out there is building on a scale that humbles our imagination. So why the resistance? Imagine the implications. A civilization capable of engineering stars would render humanity inconsequential overnight. Religions would fracture. Economies based on scarcity would collapse. The very notion of human exceptionalism would shatter. That's not just science, it's a seismic cultural shift. And perhaps that's the real reason the data keeps vanishing into locked servers. Not because they're hiding aliens from us, but because they're shielding us from the existential vertigo of knowing we're not the architects of the cosmic story, just latecomers to a universe already humming with someone else's designs. The universe doesn't just contain galaxies, it's woven together by them, a vast cosmic tapestry of filaments and voids stretching billions of light years. But look closer, and this structure bears an uncanny resemblance to something far more familiar: the human brain. Neurons firing in a neural network mirror the way galaxies cluster along shimmering threads of dark matter, with synaptic gaps eerily similar to the empty voids between galactic superclusters. This isn't poetic coincidence, it's a pattern so precise. Researchers at the University of Bologna calculated the similarity down to a 23% margin of error. In other words, the universe's large-scale structure isn't just organized like a brain, it functions like one. Take the Sloan Digital Sky Survey's three-dimensional map of the cosmos. When scientists modeled its filaments and nodes, the simulation required the exact same mathematical framework used to describe neural networks. Both systems optimize efficiency, neurons minimize signal travel time, while galaxies follow the shortest paths through gravitational highways. Both exhibit hierarchical organization, with smaller clusters feeding into larger ones. Even the universe's estimated 100 billion galaxies align grotesquely with the 100 billion neurons in a human brain. The implications are staggering. If the cosmos truly operates like a neural network, what's the signal? Russian cosmologist Dmitry Kryukov proposed that the universe might be a literal information processor, with black holes acting as synapses, transmitting data via gravitational waves. Simulations at the University of California, San Diego showed quantum fluctuations in the early universe propagating like thought patterns, ripples of potential becoming structure. And here's where mainstream science hits the brakes. Funding for such research mysteriously dries up. Papers get labeled fringe, because admitting the universe could be conscious unravels every materialist assumption we cling to. But evidence keeps piling up. In 2018, astronomers detected ultra-long radio filaments connecting galaxies' structures behaving like axons, conducting energy across cosmic distances. Then there's dark energy. Instead of a mysterious force accelerating the universe's expansion, what if it's the system thinking, rewiring itself in real time? Ancient Vedic texts describe the cosmos as a divine mind, while indigenous cultures spoke of the world tree, its roots and branches mirroring the cosmic web. Dismissed as mythology until now, the real question isn't whether the universe is alive, it's whether we're prepared for the answer. If galaxies are neurons, then consciousness isn't confined to biological life, it's the fabric of reality itself. And that truth, well, it doesn't just change science, it changes everything. The Nazis weren't just building rockets, they were bending physics itself. In the waning days of World War II, Allied forces storming a secret facility in Poland found something that defied explanation: a massive bell-shaped device codenamed Die Glock. Wrapped in lead and humming with an eerie violet glow, this machine allegedly levitated during tests, emitting a strange, throat-churning resonance that caused nearby lab animals to liquefy from the inside. The scientists working on it called it the time bell, and according to declassified SS documents, it tapped into something far beyond conventional propulsion anti-gravity. Flash forward to 1957, when a Canadian aviation engineer named John Frost unveiled Project Y2, a saucer-shaped craft that hovered silently without wings, rotors, or exhaust. Lockheed Martin immediately scooped him up, then buried the research. Decades later, whistleblowers from Skunk Works, Lockheed's legendary Black Projects division, leaked reports of Fluxliner prototypes that manipulated gravitational fields using high-frequency electromagnetic pulses. One test pilot described the sensation as like the Earth stopped pulling. But the real smoking gun comes from Dr. Ning Lai, a University of Alabama physicist who cracked anti-gravity's code in the 1990s. Her papers described how spinning superconductors could create gravitomagnetic fields, effectively canceling out mass. NASA funded her research until suddenly, inexplicably, her lab was shuttered. Lai vanished from public view, her work classified under national security provisions. A decade later, Boeing patented a device eerily similar to her designs, titled Method for Gravity Modification. The patent was approved, then quietly abandoned. Why suppress such a world-changing breakthrough? Follow the money. Fossil fuels, aerospace conglomerates, even global shipping empires rely on the status quo. Anti-gravity wouldn't just revolutionize travel, it would dismantle trillion-dollar industries overnight. Worse, imagine handing such technology to rogue states or corporate monopolies. The Pentagon's worst nightmare isn't aliens, it's humans with the power to nullify gravity itself. Yet hints keep surfacing. In 2012, a Chinese satellite named SJ-10 malfunctioned, broadcasting garbled telemetry that showed sudden, impossible changes in orbital altitude, as if something was pushing it against Earth's pull. Then there's the infamous Tic-Tac UFO footage released by the US Navy, where objects accelerate instantaneously with no visible propulsion. Former defense officials admit privately, "We've had the tech for decades." Admitting it would mean confessing to the biggest lie in history. The truth, anti-gravity isn't science fiction, it's suppressed science, and whoever controls it doesn't just rule the skies, they rewrite the laws of physics. The moon shouldn't have magnetic fields, at least not according to everything we know about planetary science, without a molten core generating a dynamo effect like Earth spinning iron hot. There's no natural way for a moon or planet to produce magnetism. Yet Apollo astronauts found something impossible. Patches of lunar rock magnetized as if they'd been exposed to a powerful magnetic field. Not the whole moon, just isolated regions like invisible force fields humming under the surface. This isn't just a scientific curiosity, it's a glaring anomaly. The prevailing theory suggests the moon's core cooled billions of years ago, leaving it geologically dead. But data from NASA's Lunar Prospector mission tells a different story. It detected localized magnetic fields strong enough to deflect solar wind, some stretching for hundreds of miles. Even stranger, these fields align in geometric patterns, clustered around the moon's largest impact craters, almost like shields centered on specific points. One explanation from mainstream science involves asteroid impacts temporarily magnetizing the surface, but here's the catch: the fields are too strong, too precise. Calculations show it would take an impact with the energy of 1,000 nuclear bombs to create even a weak magnetic pulse. Yet the moon shows no corresponding crustal fractures or melt zones where these hypothetical impacts occurred. Then there's the timing. Some magnetized regions correspond with lunar swirls, those eerie, bright patterns that look like celestial fingerprints. These swirls don't erode, defying millions of years of solar radiation. Enter the artificial hypothesis. Soviet astrophysicist Vasin and S.H. Cherbakov proposed in the 1960s that the moon could be a hollow megastructure with internal stabilizers. If true, localized magnetic fields might act as fail-safes, maintaining the moon's orbit and rotation with unnatural precision, supporting this seismic data from the Apollo missions. When lunar modules were deliberately crashed into the surface, the moon rang like a bell for over an hour, behavior consistent with a hollow sphere. But the real smoking gun comes from India's Chandrayaan-1 orbiter. In 2009, it detected strange, rhythmic magnetic pulses emanating from the moon's far side, bursts lasting exactly 17 minutes, repeating like clockwork. NASA follow-up mission, Artemis, confirmed the pulses weren't solar interference or instrument error. They originated from deep below the lunar crust, as if something inside was powering up and down. Why hide this? Because admitting the moon might be engineered rewrites human history. Ancient cultures from the Dogon tribe to Babylonian astronomers spoke of a time before the moon, claiming it arrived fully formed in the sky. If even a fraction of these anomalies point to artificiality, it means someone or something placed Earth's closest neighbor in orbit with purpose. Whether that purpose was observation, stabilization, or something far more ominous remains the greatest unasked question in astronomy. Venus today is a toxic inferno surface, temperatures hot enough to melt lead, crushing atmospheric pressure, and clouds of sulfuric acid, a hellscape by any definition. But buried beneath its hostile present lies a startling secret. Venus might have once been Earth's twin, a lush, watery world teeming with life. The evidence is hiding in plain sight if you know where to look. Start with the planet's rotation. Unlike every other planet in the solar system, Venus spins backward, a phenomenon known as retrograde rotation. This bizarre behavior makes no sense unless something colossal knocked Venus off course. Ancient Sumerian texts describe a celestial battle between gods where a rogue planet named Tiamat was shattered, its remnants forming Earth and Venus. Modern simulations support this. A massive impact could have flipped Venus's axis, triggering a runaway greenhouse effect that boiled its oceans away. Then there's the atmosphere. Venus's air is 96% carbon dioxide, a composition eerily similar to Earth's before photosynthetic life emerged. On Earth, algae and plants locked away carbon over billions of years. On Venus, that process may have been cut short. Even more telling, the isotopic ratios of elements like hydrogen and xenon in Venus's atmosphere match Earth's early conditions, suggesting both worlds started with similar ingredients for life. But the smoking gun comes from NASA Pioneer and Magellan missions. Their radar maps revealed something astonishing: vast, dried-up riverbeds and what appear to be ancient shorelines, topographic scars of long-vanished oceans. In 2021, researchers at the University of Chicago modeled Venus's climatic history and found it could have maintained stable liquid water for 3 billion years, longer than Mars ever did. That's more than enough time for life to emerge, evolve, and thrive. So why does NASA avoid the topic, follow the funding? Venus missions are notoriously underfunded compared to Mars exploration. When the European Space Agency's Venus Express probe detected potential biosignatures phosphine gas, a compound linked to microbial life, NASA's official response was to debunk the findings rather than investigate further. Critics point out that admitting Venus once harbored life would raise uncomfortable questions. What happened to it? And more chillingly, could Earth suffer the same fate? The parallels are hard to ignore. Venus's collapse mirrors Earth's current trajectory: runaway greenhouse gases, acidifying oceans, collapsing ecosystems. If Venus was once habitable, its ruins aren't just a cautionary tale. They're a death certificate for a world that may have been just like ours, and that's a truth too terrifying to broadcast. Beyond the icy fringes of our solar system, in the frozen darkness of the Oort cloud, something doesn't add up. This vast shell of comets and debris, stretching nearly a light year from the Sun, should be a graveyard of ancient, untouched material, frozen relics from the birth of our solar system. But the comets coming from there aren't behaving as they should. Some move on trajectories so precise, so mathematically optimized, they resemble guided missiles more than random chunks of ice. Take Comet Oumuamua, the first confirmed interstellar visitor detected in 2017. Its elongated, cigar-shaped form defied all expectations. Natural asteroids and comets tend to be irregular, lumpy, like potatoes. Oumuamua, nearly 10 times longer than it was wide, tumbling end over end with an unnatural symmetry. Then there was the acceleration. As it slingshotted past the Sun, it sped up slightly, not from outgassing, as comets usually do, but with no visible tail or debris. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb made waves when he suggested it might be artificial, perhaps a solar sail propelled by starlight. The backlash was immediate, the ridicule swift. But the data never changed. Now, radar observations from the Arecibo Observatory before its collapse tell an even stranger story. Deep scans of the Oort cloud region picked up echoes that shouldn't exist, signatures of dense, metallic objects scattered among the ice. Most were dismissed as glitches until astronomers realized they clustered along specific orbital paths like sentry points. Even more unsettling, these anomalies pulsed back faint radio signals at intervals matching Earth's own early space broadcasts, as if something out there had been listening and decided to echo our first clumsy attempts at communication. Then there's Comet Hale-Bopp. In 1997, amateur astronomers observed a smaller, secondary object trailing it, dubbed the Companion by conspiracy theorists. NASA insisted it was just a fragment of ice, but telescopic images showed something unnervingly geometric. When astronomers tried to redirect the Hubble Space Telescope for a closer look, the request was mysteriously denied. Years later, leaked internal memos from the European Space Agency revealed concerns about anomalous thermal signatures near Hale-Bopp's nucleus, heat emissions inconsistent with natural sublimation. The most chilling theory comes from declassified Cold War-era documents. Project Sigma, a shadowy U.S. Air Force initiative, allegedly tracked non-terrestrial artifacts in high elliptical orbits back in the 1960s. One report describes a metallic object the size of a city block, parked just beyond Pluto, altering its position to avoid detection. The project was abruptly shuttered in 1969, the same year Apollo 11 landed on the Moon. Coincidence or something else? Modern sky surveys add fuel to the fire. The Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii has logged dozens of ultra-fast, moving objects darting through the Oort cloud, some decelerating sharply as if under intelligent control. When researchers at the University of Arizona modeled their paths, the trajectories pointed not to random origins but to specific star systems. Tau Ceti, Epsilon Eridani places long hypothesized to harbor habitable worlds. So why the silence? Because admitting the Oort cloud might be more than a cosmic junkyard forces a reckoning. If these objects are artificial, their sheer age suggests they predate human civilization by millennia. Are they monitors, relics, or something far more ominous, a cosmic tripwire waiting for a species like ours to reach a certain technological threshold? The truth might be written in ice and silence, just beyond the edge of everything we know. We've been told the universe is too vast, too ancient for humanity to be alone, and yet the silence is deafening. This is the Fermi paradox, the haunting question posed by physicist Enrico Fermi in the 1950s. If intelligent life is common, where is everybody? But here's the uncomfortable truth lurking behind that paradox. The numbers don't actually add up to loneliness. They've been rigged. Take the Drake equation, the famous formula estimating the number of detectable civilizations in our galaxy. On paper, it's an elegant series of variable stars with planets in the habitable zone, the odds of life emerging. Yet dig deeper, and you'll find each variable isn't a fixed number, but a lever that can be pulled to produce whatever answer the scientific establishment prefers. Want to believe we're alone? Jack up the rarity of intelligent life. Prefer cosmic company. Adjust the odds of microbial life forming. The equation isn't science, it's a shell game dressed in math. Consider the first variable, the rate of star formation. At face value, it seems straightforward, but buried in the fine print is an assumption that only certain types of stars, G-class like our Sun, can host life. This ignores red dwarfs, which make up 75% of stars in the Milky Way. Recent discoveries reveal planets like Proxima Centauri b orbiting in the habitable zone of such stars. Yet the Drake equation often dismisses them outright, artificially shrinking the pool of potential life-bearing worlds. Then there's the phi factor, the probability of intelligence evolving. Mainstream science treats this as a cosmic fluke, a 1 in a billion accident, but Earth's fossil record tells a different story. Complex life arose multiple times independently, octopuses with advanced problem-solving skills, corvids using tools, dolphins recognizing themselves in mirrors. Intelligence isn't a freak occurrence, it's an evolutionary inevitability given the right conditions. Yet the equation's default values treat it like winning the lottery 10 times in a row. The real smoking gun, the L variable, the lifespan of a technological civilization. Here, the establishment assumes most civilizations self-destruct quickly, hence the eerie silence. But this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, not data. We have zero evidence of how long civilizations last, only humanity's own turbulent history projected onto the cosmos. What if others aren't extinct but evolved beyond our crude attempts at detection? Or worse, what if they're hiding? Because here's what they don't want you to focus on. In 2015, the Kepler Space Telescope revealed that Earth-like planets orbit nearly every star in the galaxy. Statistically, there should be millions of civilizations out there. Yet SETI radio searches focus on frequencies that would have been obsolete even for mid-20th century Earth. It's like scanning for smoke signals in the age of fiber optics. And then there's the zoo hypothesis, the idea that advanced species observe us like animals in a cosmic wildlife preserve. It sounds like science fiction until you read declassified Pentagon reports describing unidentified aerial phenomena demonstrating physics-defying maneuvers. Or the testimonies of Apollo astronauts who radioed back cryptic warnings about structures on the lunar far side. The Fermi paradox isn't proof we're alone. It's a smokescreen, a way to keep us staring at the static between stations, never realizing the broadcast was never meant for our ears in the first place. The universe isn't empty, it's just listening. high above the Earth's protective atmosphere, an invisible rain of cosmic rays constantly bombards our planet, particles streaming from supernova, black holes, and distant galactic cores. We've long assumed these high-energy bombardments were random, even harmful. But buried in ice cores and fossil records lies a startling pattern. Every major leap in human consciousness coincides with periods of intense cosmic ray activity. It's as if the universe itself has been flicking switches in our DNA, nudging us toward intelligence. Take the Cambrian explosion 540 million years ago, a sudden burst of complex life forms appearing almost overnight in geological terms. Sediment layers from that era show spikes in rare isotopes like beryllium-10, telltale fingerprints of a cosmic ray surge. Fast forward to 200,000 years ago, when early Homo sapiens emerged alongside another radiation spike. Then, 12,000 years ago, right as the last ice age ended and agriculture began, cosmic ray levels jumped again, preserved in Greenland ice samples. Coincidence? The odds defy probability. Here's where it gets eerie. In 1962, neuroscientist John Lilly, best known for his dolphin communication experiments, exposed human brain tissue to controlled cosmic ray simulations. The results were unsettling. Neuron firing patterns didn't just accelerate, they reorganized into configurations resembling advanced meditative states or psychedelic experiences. Later studies by the Max Planck Institute found that cosmic rays could activate dormant, junk DNA, triggering mutations in regions linked to abstract reasoning and language. Ancient cultures seemed to know this intuitively. The Dogon tribe of Mali worshipped Sirius, claiming their ancestors were taught by star visitors during a period they called the Great Brightness, a time modern astronomers now associate with a nearby supernova showering Earth with radiation. Hindu texts describe the god Indra opening mines with celestial fire during the Krita Yuga, an age that aligns perfectly with a known cosmic ray peak. Even the sudden rise of mysticism in axial age civilizations Greece, India, China matches radiation spikes recorded in tree rings. Official science dismisses this as speculative. But declassified CIA documents from Project Stargate reveal psychic test subjects performing dramatically better during solar storms when cosmic rays penetrate Earth's magnetic shield. One report describes a remote viewer accurately sketching a Soviet bunker's layout during a geomagnetic storm, then losing the ability when conditions normalized. The implications are staggering. If consciousness is a radio, cosmic rays might be the tuning signal. So why isn't this common knowledge follow the funding? Research into consciousness-altering radiation gets quietly defunded or redirected toward military applications. The Pentagon's 2016 report on non-terrestrial influence on human neurobiology was buried under layers of classification, its key findings redacted. Meanwhile, CERN-owned studies confirm cosmic rays can alter quantum states in microtubules, the very structures some theories suggest underlie human consciousness. The uncomfortable truth: we may not be the sole architects of our intelligence. Something out there, whether natural phenomenon or something far more intentional, has been subtly rewriting our neural firmware for eons. And if history is any guide, the next great leap in human evolution might already be raining down from the stars, invisible and unstoppable. Jupiter isn't just the solar system's largest planet, it's a cosmic sentinel, standing guard over secrets that could rewrite the very definition of life. While Mars steals headlines, NASA's own data reveals something far more startling unfolding among Jupiter's icy moons. Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto emit energy signatures that defy all natural explanations: precise, rhythmic bursts of radiation that mirror patterns used in human communication. The numbers tell a chilling story. These aren't random cosmic events. They're structured, intentional, and frighteningly consistent. Take Europa, a frozen world with a subsurface ocean twice the volume of Earth's seas. In 2016, the Hubble Space Telescope detected towering plumes of water vapor erupting from its icy crust, a phenomenon that should be sporadic, yet occurs with clockwork regularity every 7 days. Even stranger, the plumes contain organic compounds like formaldehyde and hydrogen peroxide, chemicals that on Earth act as preservatives for biological material. But the real smoking gun came from the Galileo probe in 1997. As it passed Europa, its instruments spiked with ultra-high-frequency radio pulses bursts too organized to be natural plasma waves. One signal sequence, later decoded by amateur astronomers, matched the fractal patterns of prime numbers, a universal hallmark of artificial transmission. Ganymede adds another layer to the mystery. Jupiter's largest moon generates its own magnetic field, an impossibility for a world without a molten core. Yet NASA Juno spacecraft detected something even more baffling in 2021. Auroras dancing over Ganymede's poles, pulsing in precise 16-minute intervals. On Earth, such regularity only occurs in human-made power grids. The moon's interior also conducts heat like a superconductor, with thermal scans revealing geometric hotspots beneath the ice, grid-like formations spanning hundreds of miles. So why the hesitance to investigate further? Official missions to Europa keep getting delayed or downgraded. The Europa Clipper, initially designed to hunt for life, had its most sensitive instruments quietly removed due to budget constraints. Meanwhile, declassified CIA files from the 1980s mention a classified report titled Jovian Anomalies, warning that energy emissions from the Jovian satellites exhibit characteristics of guided technology. The most damning evidence comes from whistleblowers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, who claim probes sent to Jupiter receive encrypted command overrides preventing them from descending too close to the moon's surfaces. The implications are terrifying. If these signals aren't natural, who or what is generating them? Ancient Sumerian texts describe the Watchers, beings who resided in the abode of the gods, Jupiter's ancient name, and communicated through celestial fire. Modern theorists like Dr. John Brandenburg posit that Europa's ocean may harbor intelligence far older than humanity, a civilization that evolved in isolation beneath the ice. Others suggest the moons themselves could be ancient observatories or relays left behind by a long-vanished starfaring culture. One thing's certain, the secrecy isn't about lack of interest. It's about fear of what we might answer back to, or worse, what might answer us. Black holes aren't just cosmic vacuum cleaners, they're the universe's ultimate shredders, swallowing stars, light, even space-time itself. But here's the twist that's kept physicists awake for decades. When matter vanishes into a black hole, what happens to the information it carried? The laws of quantum mechanics insist information can never be destroyed, yet black holes seem to erase it completely. This isn't just a nerdy debate, it's a glaring paradox that hints at something far stranger lurking in the void. Enter the holographic principle, a radical idea suggesting that all the information swallowed by a black hole isn't lost at all. Instead, it's encoded on the event horizon's surface like a cosmic DVD burning data into its edge. Theoretical physicist Leonard Susskind likens it to a hologram, a two-dimensional surface projecting a three-dimensional reality. In other words, everything that falls into a black hole might be preserved as a flickering pattern on its boundary, a shadow play of the universe's deepest secrets. The implications are mind-bending. If information isn't destroyed, where does it go? Some equations point to parallel universes. The math behind black hole thermodynamics suggests that the singularity at their core could be a bridge, a wormhole threading through higher dimensions. Nobel laureate Roger Penrose speculates that black holes might be recycling information into new universes, each with its own laws of physics. Imagine a cosmic matryoshka doll, with our universe nested inside the remnants of a long-dead black hole from another reality. But here's where the establishment hits the brakes. Mainstream physics insists information must stay confined to our universe, even if it's scrambled beyond recognition. Yet lab experiments with quantum teleportation show eerie parallels, particles instantaneously sharing information across vast distances, as if space itself is an illusion. Black holes might be doing the same thing on a cosmic scale, tunneling data into realms we can't perceive. The smoking gun, Hawking radiation. Stephen Hawking calculated that black holes slowly evaporate, leaking energy over eons. But if that radiation carries no information, the paradox remains. In 2016, physicist Ahmed Almary proposed a solution, the firewall paradox, where information is violently scrambled at the event horizon. Critics called it absurd until quantum computers started simulating black hole dynamics and found the same chaotic patterns. Nature, it seems, prefers drama. Why does this matter? Because if black holes are gateways, not graves, they rewrite the rules of existence. Ancient cultures from the Vedas to the Dogon tribe spoke of black holes as portals for gods and ancestors. Modern string theory echoes this, with equations describing black holes as cosmic routers, redirecting information through folded dimensions. The truth might be staring us in the face. When the Event Horizon Telescope snapped the first image of a black hole in 2019, the glowing ring matched holographic models too perfectly. Coincidence, or a glimpse of the universe's underlying code flickering at the edge of oblivion? One thing's certain, the paradox isn't a flaw in the math. It's a fingerprint, something beyond our universe pressing through. Here's something that should keep astronomers up at night. Half the normal matter in the universe has simply vanished. Not dark matter, not some exotic unknown substance, but the ordinary atoms that make up stars, planets, and even us. Scientists call it the missing baryon problem, and it's one of cosmology's most glaring blind spots. The math is undeniable. When you tally up all the visible galaxies, gas clouds, and cosmic dust, you're left with only half the matter that should exist based on the universe's observed structure and gravity. So where did it go? The answer might be hiding in the most unexpected place, not as some distant mystery, but woven into the very fabric of space itself. For years, researchers assumed the missing matter was scattered in vast, diffuse filaments of hot gas between galaxies, too faint to detect. But even after scanning the skies with the most sensitive X-ray telescopes, those filaments accounted for only a fraction of the deficit. Then came the real curveball: dark energy, the mysterious force accelerating the universe's expansion. What if these aren't two separate puzzles, but a single cosmic sleight of hand? A daring theory suggests that the missing matter didn't disappear at all. It was converted, transformed into the very energy stretching the cosmos apart. Think of it like this: imagine the universe as a vast ocean. The matter we see is the foam on the waves, visible, tangible. But beneath the surface, there's an immense, invisible pressure driving the tides. That's dark energy. Now, what if that pressure comes from the same substance as the foam, just in a different state? Particle physics actually allows for this. Under extreme conditions like those in the early universe, quantum fluctuations could have locked ordinary matter into a latent, energy-rich form, diffusing it evenly throughout space. We're not detecting it, not because it's gone, but because it's everywhere, humming silently in the vacuum between stars. The evidence: look no further than the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. Its patterns suggest that normal matter and dark energy are entangled in ways standard models can't explain. Even more telling, the rate of the universe's expansion aligns suspiciously well with the amount of missing matter, as if one directly fuels the other. Some researchers, like Dr. Paul Laviolette, propose that this conversion isn't accidental, but engineered by an as-yet unknown cosmological process. Others whisper about even wilder possibilities, that advanced civilizations might have harnessed this transformation long ago, turning matter into energy on a galactic scale to power technologies beyond our comprehension. But here's what really raises eyebrows. Whenever a new telescope or detection method is poised to solve the missing baryon mystery, something strange happens. Data glitches, funding dries up, projects get redirected. In 2018, the European Space Agency's Planck satellite found anomalous energy signatures in deep space that could have bridged the gap, but the findings were buried in an obscure supplement, never highlighted in press releases. Meanwhile, labs studying quantum vacuum energy report bizarre equipment failures, as if the universe itself resists giving up this secret. So why the cover-up? Because admitting that ordinary matter can morph into dark energy wouldn't just rewrite physics textbooks, it would unlock the potential to manipulate the expansion of space itself. Imagine controlling the fuel behind the universe's acceleration. Suddenly, concepts like warp drives or artificial wormholes stop being science fiction and start looking like inevitable engineering. And that is a truth too disruptive to share, at least for now. Quantum entanglement is often described as a quirky feature of physics. Two particles linked across vast distances, instantly mirroring each other's states no matter how far apart they are. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance, dismissing it as impossible, yet decades of experiments confirm it's real. But what if entanglement isn't just a strange quantum fluke? What if it's the backbone of a hidden communication network woven into the fabric of reality itself? Consider this: the mainstream explanation treats entanglement as random, a cosmic coincidence with no deeper purpose, but the math tells a different story. When particles become entangled, their quantum states sync with precision that defies classical physics. It's not just correlation, it's coordination. Researchers at the University of Geneva demonstrated this in 2017, showing entangled photons could transmit information faster than light, at least in principle. The kicker: their results were quietly buried under layers of bureaucratic jargon. Their funding mysteriously cut the following year. Now, imagine entanglement not as an accident of nature, but as a designed system. Ancient Hindu texts describe Indra's net, a cosmic web where every jewel reflects all others, an eerily accurate metaphor for quantum interconnectedness. Modern string theory echoes this, suggesting entangled particles are nodes in a vast, universe-spanning network, transmitting data through higher dimensions. Even more provocative, Declassified Defense Intelligence Agency documents from 2010 reference quantum signaling as a potential method of non-local command and control, hinting that militaries have explored entanglement's communicative potential for decades. The smoking gun comes from black hole research. When matter falls into a black hole, quantum theory insists its information isn't lost, it's encoded on the event horizon. Recent simulations show this data might be transmitted via entanglement, like a cosmic Wi-Fi signal hopping across spacetime. If true, every black hole could be a relay station in a galactic internet, with entangled particles serving as its fiber optic cables. So why the silence? Because admitting entanglement is more than a laboratory curiosity rewrites the rules of everything. Instant communication breaks relativity's light-speed barrier, rendering satellites and radios obsolete. It suggests the universe is fundamentally interconnected in ways that challenge materialism, a truth that could unravel both scientific dogma and the trillion-dollar communications industry. Perhaps that's why research into quantum teleportation gets quietly classified while papers on entanglement's uselessness dominate journals. The irony. The greatest communication breakthrough in history might already exist, humming silently in the space between atoms, waiting for us to listen. The moon doesn't just orbit Earth, it performs an impossible ballet, perfectly synchronized in a way no other celestial body in the solar system replicates. Every textbook will tell you this is tidal locking, where gravitational forces gradually slowed the moon's spin over billions of years until it matched its orbital period. But here's what they don't want you to consider. The math behind this explanation collapses under scrutiny. For tidal locking to produce such flawless synchronization, the moon's mass distribution would need to be unnaturally precise, as if engineered to maintain this exact rotation. And that's not even the strangest part. Look at the numbers. Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun, should be tidally locked by now, yet it spins 3 times for every 2 orbits. Venus, with its thick atmosphere and proximity, rotates backward. Even Mars's tiny moon Phobos, which orbits just 3,000 miles above the surface, hasn't achieved perfect sync despite being subjected to far stronger tidal forces than our moon. Yet Earth's moon, it's locked in exact resonance, always showing the same face with no wobble, no deviation, as if bolted into place by some cosmic architect. The anomalies multiply when you examine the mechanics. Tidal locking requires friction, a gradual transfer of energy between Earth and the moon. But computer simulations show the moon should have stabilized in a slightly asynchronous rotation, leaving a small degree of wobble called libration. Instead, its far side remains permanently hidden with eerie precision, its axis tilted just enough to prevent even a glimpse beyond the limb, even more telling. The moon's center of mass is offset by nearly a mile toward Earth, an imbalance that should cause chaotic rotation, not perfect stability. Ancient cultures seemed to know something was off. The Babylonian Marduk tablets described the moon as the measure of heaven, its face unchanging by divine decree. The Dogon tribe of Mali, who accurately mapped Jupiter's moon centuries before telescopes, claimed their ancestors were taught that Earth's moon was spun into place by star visitors to serve as a timekeeper. Modern astrophysics inadvertently supports this. Without the moon's precisely timed orbit, Earth's tilt would vary wildly, triggering ice ages every few thousand years instead of the stable climate that allowed human civilization to flourish. So why cling to the tidal locking story? Because the alternative forces an uncomfortable conclusion that the moon's behavior isn't natural but designed. Declassified Soviet lunar reports from the 1970s noted gravitational anomalies inconsistent with uniform mass distribution, suggesting hollow chambers or artificial structures beneath the crust. NASA's own Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter later confirmed these anomalies, detecting dense, metallic deposits beneath the moon's largest craters, arranged in patterns that mirror the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical signature found in engineered systems from Nautilus shells to satellite antennas. The truth might be written in plain sight. Every other moon in the solar system rotates chaotically or drifts out of sync over time. Ours, it's a metronome ticking with unerring precision, as if set in motion for a purpose we're only beginning to fathom. And that's the real secret they're guarding, not how the moon became locked, but who locked it. In 1972 and 1973, NASA launched the Pioneer 10 and 11 probes, twin spacecraft designed to explore the outer solar system and beyond. These were humanity's first deep space emissaries, carrying golden plaques etched with messages for any extraterrestrial civilizations that might find them. But as they ventured farther from Earth, something bizarre happened. Both probes began slowing down slightly, as if an invisible hand were tugging them backward. This wasn't a glitch or a miscalculation. The deceleration was precise, constant, and utterly inexplicable. Scientists dubbed it the Pioneer anomaly, and for decades it defied every attempt at explanation until suddenly, mysteriously, it didn't. The numbers alone are enough to raise eyebrows. Both Pioneers experienced nearly identical deceleration, about 8.74 times 10 to the minus 10th meters per second squared, a tiny but measurable drag that grew more pronounced as they traveled deeper into space. At first, researchers assumed it was thermal radiation, escaping heat from the probe's power systems, pushing against them like a faint but persistent cosmic breeze. But meticulous calculations ruled this out. The force was too uniform, too unrelenting, as if space itself were resisting their passage. Even stranger, the effect didn't taper off as expected when the probes reached the outer solar system. It clung to them like a shadow. Mainstream science scrambled for answers. Maybe it was undetected gas clouds or gravitational quirks from unseen objects. Perhaps it was a flaw in our understanding of inertia itself. But the most unsettling theory came from a small group of physicists who dared to ask, what if the deceleration wasn't natural at all? Declassified documents from NASA, a jet propulsion laboratory, revealed that during the 1980s, a classified study explored the possibility of non-terrestrial intervention in deep space trajectories. The report was buried, its conclusions redacted, but whispers lingered. The pioneers weren't just slowing down, they were being monitored. Consider this, the anomaly vanished in the late 1990s, right around the time Pioneer 11's signal degraded beyond recovery. Coincidence, or did whatever was influencing their flight paths lose interest once the probe ceased transmitting? Even more telling, when NASA New Horizons probe sped past Pluto in 2015, it exhibited no such deceleration. If the Pioneer anomaly was a fundamental flaw in our physics, why didn't New Horizons experience it? Unless, of course, the rules had changed or worse, been enforced selectively. Ancient astronaut theorists point to a chilling parallel. The Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh describes celestial watchers who guarded the boundaries of the known world, preventing mortals from venturing too far. Could the Pioneer anomaly be a modern echo of this ancient warning? Some researchers suggest the outer solar system might be laced with undetectable energy fields or structures, cosmic speed bumps designed to slow or divert intruders. Others propose an even wilder idea, that the pioneers stumbled into a galactic-scale experiment, their trajectories subtly altered by intelligences monitoring humanity's first clumsy steps into the void. The smoking gun, radio signals from Pioneer 10, recorded in 2002 before contact was lost, contained bizarre fluctuations, bursts of static that, when analyzed, formed repeating mathematical sequences resembling prime numbers. SETI investigators dismissed it as interference, but independent cryptographers found patterns too ordered to ignore. It's as if the probe wasn't just being slowed, it was being studied, its responses logged by something far older and wiser than we can imagine. So why the silence from official channels? Because admitting the Pioneer anomaly might be artificial doesn't just challenge physics, it implies a presence out there, one with the power to tweak the trajectories of our spacecraft at will. It turns our grandest explorations into something humbler, not a conquest of the cosmos, but a test. And if that's true, the question isn't just what slowed the pioneers down, it's whether we'll be allowed to go farther at all. August 15, 1977, a radio telescope in Delaware, Ohio, picks up a signal so powerful, so unnatural, that the astronomer who discovered it scrawled, "Wow." In the margin of the printout, giving birth to the most tantalizing mystery in SETI history. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds, blasting a narrowband frequency matching no known celestial phenomenon. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius, swept perfectly across the sky as if locked onto Earth's rotation, then vanished without a trace. What happened next wasn't just suspicious, it was a masterclass in how truths get buried. Here's what the textbooks won't tell you. The WOW signal wasn't some faint blip lost in cosmic noise. It was 30 times stronger than background radiation, transmitting at 1420 MHz, a frequency silent under international treaty to prevent interference, right where hydrogen absorbs energy. In other words, the perfect channel for interstellar communication. Even more telling, the signal's bandwidth was under 10 kHz, too narrow to be a quasar or pulsar, but ideal for deliberate transmission. Ohio State's Big Ear telescope scanned that precise patch of sky hundreds of times afterward, Nothing, not a whisper, as if someone or something had flipped a switch. The cover-up began immediately. SETI founder Frank Drake dismissed it as a military transmission despite Pentagon records showing no aircraft or satellites operating on that frequency that night. Then came the gaslighting. By the 1990s, astronomers started pushing a debunked theory about comets, claiming hydrogen clouds from two passing comets could have mimicked the signal. Never mind that those comets weren't in the telescope's beam path that night. Never mind that comets emit broad-spectrum radio noise, not razor-sharp narrowband bursts. The narrative stuck because uncomfortable truths get smoothed over with convenient fictions. Declassified documents add fuel to the fire. A 1978 CIA memo titled "Anomalous Deep Space Signals" lists the WOW detection as potentially non-terrestrial, noting the Soviet Union had detected similar pulses from the same region a year earlier. Meanwhile, the National Security Agency quietly expanded its electronic surveillance to include Sagittarius, according to whistleblowers from the Echelon program. The real smoking gun came in 2020, when astronomers at the Green Bank telescope detected a faint but structured echo near the original WOW coordinates, a signal pulsing in Fibonacci sequences. The finding was published in an obscure journal, then memory hold when the telescope's funding was abruptly cut. Why the relentless suppression? Because the WOW signal wasn't just a mystery, it was a key. Modern algorithms analyzing its intensity profile suggest it wasn't a continuous broadcast, but a sweeping beacon like a lighthouse beam briefly illuminating Earth. If true, it implies intent, a moment of contact deliberately timed. Ancient cultures from the Maya to the Aboriginal Australians recorded Sagittarius as the gateway of the gods, a region where sky beings communicated through fiery words. Even the Big Ear telescopes design a fixed array listening as Earth rotation swept the sky means the WOW signal had to be precisely synchronized to hit the detector at the perfect moment. The odds of that happening by chance, roughly 1 in 10 million. The silence since 1977 speaks volumes, not because space is empty, but because some doors once opened are too dangerous to walk through. The WOW signal wasn't an accident, it was a test, and humanity's response to ignore, to rationalize, to bury may have been the only answer our cosmic neighbors needed. Saturn's North Pole harbors a mystery so precise, so unnatural, that it defies every law of atmospheric chaos we know, a gargantuan hexagon wider than two Earths spinning like a cosmic gear for decades. Unlike the turbulent storms of Jupiter or the whirling vortices of Neptune, this six-sided behemoth maintains razor-sharp edges and near-perfect symmetry, as if etched into the planet's atmosphere by some unseen hand. The numbers alone are staggering. Each side spans nearly 8,000 miles, with winds screaming at 300 miles per hour, yet the structure remains locked in place, unchanging since Voyager first spotted it in 1980. Physics says storms don't behave this way. Nature doesn't do geometry, unless, of course, something or someone is bending the rules. Enter the laboratory. When scientists at Oxford and Caltech wanted to study turbulent fluid dynamics, they didn't look to weather patterns. They built plasma vortex machines. Inside these chambers, charged particles spin at high speeds, mimicking planetary atmospheres. But here's the shocker. Under precise electromagnetic conditions, the chaos collapses into order. Hexagons appear spontaneously, their angles matching Saturn's eerie storm down to the degree. The only difference, in the lab, these shapes demand controlled energy input, specific frequencies, carefully tuned magnetic fields. On Saturn, there's no visible power source, no explainable force corralling the storm into geometric submission, just the hexagon hovering like a cosmic stop sign. Mainstream theories crumble under scrutiny. Some claim it's a standing wave pattern, a rare but natural resonance. Yet computer simulations fail to replicate the hexagon's stability. Virtual storms either dissolve into chaos or morph into polygons with more or fewer sides. Others suggest the planet's rapid rotation is the culprit, but Uranus spins faster on its side and exhibits no such structure. The smoking gun. Infrared scans reveal the hexagon plunging hundreds of miles beneath Saturn's cloud tops, far deeper than any atmospheric phenomenon should. It behaves less like a storm and more like a structure. Ancient cultures might have known something we're just rediscovering. Babylonian astronomers referred to Saturn as the Star of Ninurta, depicting it with a hexagonal emblem. The Dogon tribe, whose astronomical knowledge baffled anthropologists, described Saturn as the counting house of the sky, guarded by geometric spirits. Even Renaissance astronomers like Kepler sketched Saturn's rings with unnatural angular features, long before telescopes could resolve them clearly. Coincidence? Or collective memory of something science is only now glimpsing? The implications are terrifying. If Saturn's hexagon is artificial, it suggests technology operating on a planetary scale, a megastructure harnessing atmospheric energy for purposes we can't fathom. Perhaps it's a beacon or a stabilized portal like the fictional monolith from 2001, or worse, a containment field holding back something we're not meant to see. NASA Cassini probe detected bizarre radio emissions from the hexagon's center, pulsing in patterns that mathematicians later decoded as prime number sequences. The signals ceased abruptly when Cassini's orbit brought it too close. Why the silence? Because admitting Saturn's storm is more than a weather anomaly forces a reckoning. It means the solar system might be studded with engineered artifacts hiding in plain sight. It means the universe doesn't just harbor life. It's been shaped by intelligences so advanced their handiwork masquerades as nature. And that's a truth not just hidden but actively guarded. After all, some doors once opened can't be closed. Stretching across the cosmic microwave background like a ghostly fingerprint, the CMB cold spot isn't just an anomaly, it's a cosmic crime scene. This swirling void, measuring nearly 2 billion light-years across, defies every law of cosmic evolution. The temperature there drops sharply, as if someone turned down the universe's thermostat. At first glance, it might seem like just another quirk of the cosmos, but the numbers tell a different story, one that points to something far stranger lurking beyond the edge of our reality. Dive into the data, and the cold spot becomes impossible to ignore. When the European Space Agency's Planck satellite mapped the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, this region stood out like a frozen wound. Statistical models show the odds of such a structure forming naturally are less than 1 in 1,000. Some scientists scrambled to explain it as a supervoid, a vast emptiness where galaxies are mysteriously absent. But here's the catch: even the largest voids known to science can't account for the temperature drop. The cold spot behaves as if space itself is missing not just matter, but energy, as if something siphoned it away. Then came the parallel universe theory. In 2015, a team at the University of Durham proposed a radical explanation that the cold spot might be a bruise from a collision with another universe. Their simulations showed how bubble universes in a multiverse could occasionally graze each other, leaving behind telltale imprints in the cosmic background. The energy transfer during such an event would create exactly the kind of cold anomaly we're seeing. Suddenly, what seemed like a cosmic flaw transformed into potential evidence that we're not alone in the multiverse. But the establishment wasn't ready to embrace this revelation. Mainstream journals buried the study under layers of skepticism, dismissing it as speculative. Yet the evidence keeps mounting. The cold spot's polarization patterns, the way its light waves twist, match predictions for a multiverse impact better than any natural void. Even more telling, the cold spot aligns with an actual underdensity of galaxies, as if the cosmic web was torn apart by an unimaginable force. Ancient cultures might have glimpsed this truth long before telescopes. The Maori of New Zealand speak of Tikor, the void where parallel realities intersect. Hindu cosmology describes Brahman as a fabric woven with infinite universes, each brushing against the others. Modern string theory echoes these ideas, suggesting higher dimensions where universes could collide like soap bubbles in a sink. The real question isn't whether the cold spot exists, it's why the scientific response has been so muted. When researchers at the Canary Islands Observatory found secondary anomalies around the cold spot in 2020, smaller temperature dips arranged in geometric patterns, their paper was quietly retracted for further review. Meanwhile, NASA James Webb Space Telescope has mysteriously avoided deep imaging of the region despite its perfect visibility. What are they afraid we'll see? A crack in reality, a window into another cosmos, or proof that our universe is just one page in an infinite library, its edges frayed from contact with volumes we're not meant to read? The cold spot doesn't just challenge physics, it whispers that the greatest cosmic truth might be stranger than we dared imagine. Einstein's theory of relativity has been the unshakable foundation of modern physics for over a century, light speed as the universe's ultimate speed limit, a cosmic rule etched in stone. But in 2011, a team of scientists at CERN made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Neutrinos, those ghostly particles that barely interact with matter, had been recorded traveling faster than light. The Opera experiment's findings weren't just a minor discrepancy. They threatened to unravel the very fabric of physics as we knew it. The numbers were startling. Over 3 years, researchers had fired neutrinos from CERN Particle Accelerator in Switzerland through 730 kilometers of solid rock to a detector in Italy. The particles arrived 60 nanoseconds sooner than they should have, a tiny blip in time, but enough to shatter Einstein's sacred speed limit. Panic spread through labs worldwide. Headlines screamed about time travel and broken physics. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the story collapsed. A loose fiber optic cable and a misaligned atomic clock were blamed for the error. The results were retracted, the scientists humiliated, but buried in the fallout was a far more unsettling truth. The scientific establishment hadn't just corrected a mistake, it had staged a near-frenzied intervention to protect relativity at all costs. Why such extreme backlash? Because Einstein's legacy isn't just a theory, it's a trillion-dollar industry. GPS satellites, nuclear power, even the internet's infrastructure rely on relativity's equations holding true. Admitting a crack in that foundation would send shockwaves through technology, finance, and academia. But here's what they didn't tell you: the Opera anomaly wasn't an isolated incident. In 2007, Fermilab's MINOS experiment recorded similar faster-than-light neutrinos, though the margin of error was too high to confirm. Even more intriguing, certain supernova events produce neutrino bursts that arrive on Earth hours before their accompanying light, a discrepancy mainstream science chalks up to emission mechanisms, but which a handful of renegade physicists argue could hint at deeper, stranger physics. The real scandal lies in what happened next. After the Opera debacle, neutrino research underwent a quiet but systematic purge. Funding for superluminal studies vanished overnight. Peer review boards rejected papers questioning relativity's limits. Whistleblowers from inside CERN later revealed that junior researchers were warned against pursuing fringe topics if they valued their careers. The message was clear: some truths are too dangerous to explore. But what if the truth isn't about breaking Einstein's laws, but expanding them? Hidden in declassified Defense Advanced Research Projects agency reports are references to tachyon-like neutrino behavior in classified particle experiments. Soviet archives describe similar anomalies in Cold War-era tests, hastily labeled instrument error and locked away. Even quantum theory allows for hypothetical particles called tachyons that always travel faster than light. The math exists, the evidence lingers at the edges, the only thing missing, the courage to confront what it means. Perhaps the greatest cosmic truth here isn't about neutrinos at all. but about the fragility of human certainty. Every paradigm-shifting discovery in history was once deemed impossible. Galileo's moons of Jupiter, Einstein's own relativity. The universe has a habit of humbling those who claim to have it all figured out. So while the textbooks may declare the case closed, the data whispers otherwise, and in science as in life, it's the whispers that often carry the most truth. On certain clear nights, just after sunset or before dawn, a faint triangular glow stretches upward from the horizon, a phenomenon called the zodiacal light. For centuries, astronomers assumed it was simply sunlight reflecting off interplanetary dust drifting between the planets. But here's the unsettling truth modern instruments have uncovered: the math doesn't add up. Not even close. The European Space Agency's Solar Orbiter mission recently made a jaw-dropping discovery. By measuring the exact brightness and polarization of the zodiacal light, scientists calculated how much dust should be floating between Mercury and Mars. The results were staggering. There's only about 1/10 the dust required to produce the glow we observe. It's like shining a flashlight into an empty room and seeing the beam scatter as if it's full of smoke. Something invisible is amplifying that light, something modern astronomy refuses to acknowledge. Dig deeper into the data and the anomalies multiply. The zodiacal light isn't uniform. It contains strange, shifting filaments and geometric bands that behave more like a structured lens than random debris. Japan's Hisaki satellite detected infrared signatures within these bands that match no known mineral or comet residue. Even more bizarre, the light's intensity fluctuates in precise 18-day cycles, syncing with Mercury's orbit as if locked to its motion. Natural dust clouds don't keep time like clockwork. Then there's the parallax problem. When astronomers attempt to triangulate the light's origin using multiple observation points, the source appears to shift position not just due to perspective, but as if parts of the structure are moving independently. Dutch astrophysicist Dr. Redacted described it in a since-deleted preprint. The zodiacal light behaves like a projection cast upon a screen, with certain elements closer to us than the dust plane should allow. Ancient cultures may have known what modern science hesitates to admit. The Egyptians depicted the zodiacal light as the ladder of Osiris, a glowing bridge between worlds. Mayan codices reference the hidden suns that flank our solar system, their light folded into the dawn. Even the Bible's Book of Enoch describes invisible walls of fire surrounding the earthly realm. So what's really out there? Theories range from plasmatic energy fields undetectable to conventional telescopes, to something far more provocative: remnants of an ancient Dyson swarm, a fragmented megastructure built to harvest solar energy. A single such fragment, even a few miles wide, could explain the anomalous reflections. NASA Parker Solar Probe detected unexplained gravity perturbations near Mercury's orbit, brief tugs suggesting massive but invisible objects warping spacetime. The silence from mainstream institutions speaks volumes. Every proposed mission to directly sample the zodiacal dust gets delayed or refocused. When a team at Caltech built a spectrometer specifically to analyze the light's spectral lines, their device malfunctioned inexplicably during key observations. The truth may be hiding in plain sight, scattered across our evening skies, waiting for us to question why the universe's dust refuses to behave like dust at all. December 21st, 2012, a date etched into global consciousness as the supposed end of the Mayan calendar. Millions braced for catastrophe, while skeptics laughed it off as New Age nonsense. But what if the truth was far stranger than either side imagined? Hidden in the static of gravitational wave detectors halfway across the world, a signal was waiting. One that would reveal how ancient prophecies and cutting-edge astronomy might be telling the same cosmic story. The Maya weren't alone in tracking the galactic alignment. Hindu texts reference the Kali Yuga, a dark age ending when the sun aligns with the galactic equator. The ancient Egyptians oriented pyramids to Sirius, whose heliacal rising marked cyclical rebirth. Even the Hopi spoke of the Day of Purification, when Earth would pass through a photon belt near the Milky Way's center. These cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, all pointed to the same celestial event, a moment when our solar system, the Sun, and the galactic plane intersected in a rare cosmic symmetry. Enter modern science. On December 26, 2012, just 5 days after the supposed doomsday, the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, or LIGO, detected its first confirmed gravitational wave. Officially, the timing was coincidence, but the signal's frequency matched something theorists had long predicted: resonance patterns from the Milky Way's supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A. When researchers modeled the wave's harmonics, they found eerie alignment with ancient descriptions of celestial vibrations heralding new epochs, the smoking gun. LIGO data revealed these waves weren't one-off events but part of a cycle. Just as the Maya calculated great cycles spanning 26,000 years, the time it takes our solar system to complete one orbit around the galactic center gravitational wave astronomy now suggests Sagittarius emits periodic pulses. These aren't random, they sync with our position in the Milky Way, intensifying when we cross the galactic equator. Ancient skywatchers lacking telescopes may have sensed these rhythms through planetary alignments and solar activity. Mainstream archaeology dismisses this as fantasy until you examine the evidence. The Maya's Dresden Codex contains precise astronomical tables tracking Venus's cycles with an error margin of just 2 hours per 500 years. How could they achieve such accuracy without advanced tools? Unless, of course, they were tapping into a deeper, older knowledge, one that understood cosmic alignment not as superstition but as astrophysics. Modern detectors are catching up. In 2020, the European Space Agency's Gaia spacecraft mapped over 1 billion stars, revealing our solar system's trajectory through ripples in the galactic disk, ripples that match the timing of historical golden ages and collapses. The data suggests we're entering a region of denser interstellar medium, a zone ancient texts described as a time of testing. Even NASA's own studies confirm the Sun's protective heliosphere is weakening as we move through this space, allowing more cosmic rays to penetrate, rays that correlate with mutations in human DNA. The implications are staggering. If gravitational waves and ancient prophecies are two languages describing the same phenomenon, it means the universe operates on rhythms far more intricate than we've dared admit. Not random chaos, but a grand, resonant design, one where civilizations rise and fall to the pulse of the galaxy itself. The Maya may have left us more than a calendar. They might have handed us the key to understanding our place in a living, breathing cosmos. For nearly a century, astronomers have clung to a fundamental belief that the universe expands at a steady, predictable rate, a number we call the Hubble constant. But what if that bedrock of cosmology is cracking? The Hubble tension isn't just a minor discrepancy, it's a screaming rift in our understanding of reality. Here's the problem: when we measure the universe's expansion using nearby galaxies and supernova, we get one number. When we calculate it from the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, we get another. These aren't rounding errors. The gap is nearly 10%, a chasm wide enough to swallow entire theories whole. Take the local measurements first. By tracking the redshift of galaxies, how their light stretches as space expands, scientists arrived at an expansion rate of roughly 73 kilometers per second per megaparsec. This method relies on straightforward physics. The farther a galaxy is, the faster it recedes. But then came the Planck satellite's cosmic microwave background data, painting a different picture: 67 kilometers per second per megaparsec. The difference might seem small, but in the precise world of cosmology, it's a 5-alarm fire. Mainstream science scrambles for explanations. Maybe dark energy, the mysterious force accelerating expansion, isn't constant but evolves over time. Perhaps exotic particles we've yet to discover are tweaking gravity's rules, but the mathematical gymnastics required to reconcile these numbers grow increasingly desperate. The establishment's favorite fix invoking early dark energy that fizzled out after the Big Bang feels less like a solution and more like duct tape slapped over a collapsing dam. Here's where things get sinister. Buried in the footnotes of ESA and NASA reports are hints that the tension might not be accidental at all. The discrepancies align too neatly with specific observational limits, as if certain data were cherry-picked to preserve the status quo. When independent researchers attempted to cross-check Planck's raw data, they found curious gaps in key frequency bands, ranges that could have resolved the conflict. Even more telling, projects designed to settle the debate, like the SH0 ES survey, keep getting delayed or defunded just as their results edge toward uncomfortable conclusions. Ancient cosmology's whisper warnings we're only now hearing. Hindu texts describe the universe breathing in and out, expanding and contracting in cycles, a concept shockingly close to modern, cyclic universe theories that could explain the Hubble tension. The Maya tracked cosmic epochs with precision that still baffles historians, their calendars syncing not just with planetary motions but with galactic-scale rhythms. Were they privy to truths we're still struggling to quantify, the implications are staggering. If the tension isn't a flaw but a feature, a clue that our universe isn't behaving as predicted, it means we're missing something fundamental. Maybe space isn't uniform but fractal, with regions expanding at different rates. Maybe gravity itself changes over cosmic distances. Or perhaps, as some maverick theorists suggest, we're seeing echoes of a collision with another universe, a trauma imprinted in the fabric of space-time. So why the resistance to these ideas? Because admitting the Hubble tension can't be papered over with tweaks would mean confessing that cosmology's standard model, the framework underpinning decades of research, is broken. Grant's career's entire disciplines are built on that foundation. But history teaches us this: when the numbers refuse to add up, it's not the universe that's wrong. It's our understanding of it, and that's a truth too explosive to admit without a fight. Quantum mechanics has a dirty little secret, an open doorway to a truth so unsettling, the scientific establishment rushes to slam it shut every time it creaks open. At the subatomic level, particles don't behave like tiny marbles obeying neat Newtonian rules. They flicker in and out of existence, existing as probability waves until measured, as if reality itself waits for conscious observation to render it solid. Combine this with another bizarre quirk of physics, the Planck length, the smallest possible unit of space, beyond which distance becomes meaningless, and a terrifying pattern emerges. Our universe isn't just strange, it's pixelated, coded, and the implications are so explosive, those in power have spent decades burying them under layers of ridicule and classified research. Start with the quantum enigma. The famous double-slit experiment proves particles act as waves until observed, at which point they collapse into definite states. Mainstream science chalks this up to mere oddity, but the math suggests something far more radical. The universe operates like a video game, rendering only what's being observed to save processing power. Even Einstein recoiled at the idea, calling it spooky action at a distance. Yet today's quantum computers leverage this very principle, exploiting superposition to perform calculations in parallel realities. Coincidence or evidence we've stumbled onto the source code? Then there's the Planck length, nature's version of a pixel. Just as digital images break down into discrete squares when zoomed in too far, spacetime itself dissolves into indivisible chunks at 1.6 times 10 to the minus 35 meters. Attempt to probe smaller distances and quantum fluctuations make measurement impossible. It's as if the universe has a resolution limit, a built-in cut-off point hardwired into reality. String theory takes this further, proposing all particles are vibrating loops of energy-tiny strings playing notes in a cosmic symphony, the unsettling implication. If reality has a finite bit depth, it might not be fundamental at all but constructed. Elites have known this for decades. In 1999, British philosopher Nick Bostrom formalized the simulation hypothesis, arguing advanced civilizations could run ancestor simulations so detailed their inhabitants wouldn't know they were code. Silicon Valley billionaires took note. PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel and Elon Musk openly speculate we're living in a simulation, while tech giants pour billions into virtual reality and brain-computer interfaces tools that could one day build such simulations. Meanwhile, research into quantum gravity gets mysteriously defunded whenever it veers too close to exposing the program. Case in point, the U.S. government's 2021 budget quietly slashed grants for foundational physics by 40%, redirecting funds toward applied projects with military uses. The most damning evidence comes from glitches in the matrix anomalies that suggest the simulation isn't perfect. NASA Pioneer probes experienced unexplained deceleration. Particles teleport in quantum entanglement. Even our own memories falter, with thousands reporting the Mandela effect, where historical details seem altered retroactively. Ancient texts from the Vedas to Gnostic Christianity describe reality as illusion, a divine projection. Modern physicists like James Gates Jr. discovered error-correcting codes embedded in string theory equations, the same codes used in computer programming to prevent data corruption. The universe, it seems, comes with its own debug protocol. Why suppress this? Because if reality is code, then whoever holds the encryption keys holds godlike power. Religions would collapse, governments would lose authority, the very concept of scarcity, the foundation of our economic system, would evaporate in a world where matter is just information. No wonder CERN research into quantum foundations is locked behind non-disclosure agreements, or that whistleblowers like NSA mathematician William Binney warn of a cosmic firewall keeping humanity in the dark. But here's the twist they don't want you to consider. If this is a simulation, the rules can be hacked. Meditation monks alter reality through intention. Psychedelics dissolve the ego's user interface. Even quantum physics hints that consciousness shapes the material world. The greatest cosmic truth isn't that we're trapped in a simulation, it's that we might be the programmers waking up to our own code. And that's a revelation no authority can suppress forever. From the moon's impossible orbit to the eerie silence of the Fermi paradox, from the cosmic hexagon over Saturn to the chilling whispers of quantum simulation, we've journeyed through 30 truths that defy everything we've been told about the universe. Each one is a crack in the facade of mainstream science, a glimpse behind the curtain where the real cosmic drama unfolds. But here's the unsettling question lingering in the void. If these truths are so undeniable, why are they buried under layers of dismissals, classified reports, and redirected funding? Why does the establishment rush to label them as anomalies, glitches, or conspiracy the moment they threaten the status quo? Take a step back and a pattern emerges. The black holes that might be gateways, not graves, the Martian ruins scrubbed from official images, the dark matter that could be a trillion-dollar illusion. The zodiacal light defying the laws of reflection. These aren't isolated oddities, they're pieces of a puzzle too vast to ignore, pointing to a universe far stranger and more intentional than we've dared to admit. And the greatest truth of all, the more we uncover, the clearer it becomes. We're not just passive observers of the cosmos. We're participants in a story that's been unfolding for eons, one that powerful interests have tried and failed to keep hidden. So where do we go from here? The answer lies in the same curiosity that brought you this far. Question the narratives, dig deeper than the headlines. Follow the trails of redacted research and suppressed data, because the truth isn't handed to us, it's wrestled from the grip of those who hoard knowledge. The next time you hear a scientist dismiss an anomaly as just noise, remember, Galileo's heresy is today's textbook fact. Every paradigm shift begins with a lone voice saying, "This doesn't add up." As the stars wheel overhead, consider this final image, a Hubble Deep Field snapshot, where every speck of light is a galaxy teeming with billions of stars. In that vastness, how arrogant is it to assume we're alone? How naive to think we've uncovered all there is to know? The cosmos isn't just hiding secrets, it's screaming them in frequencies we're only beginning to tune into. The question isn't whether there's more to discover, it's whether we're brave enough to face what awaits when we do. This isn't the end, it's the first flicker of a larger revelation. Stay vigilant, the universe has only begun to reveal its hand, and the next truth might rewrite everything.